Jai Hind students, welcome to physics lecture. Today we will do Coulomb's law in terms of position vectors. Let us say we are having two charges. First charge is Q1, which is placed at point A. Another charge is Q2, which is placed at the point B. Since we have to discuss this law in terms of position vectors, so let us draw a system of axis, x-axis, y-axis and the z-axis. Let O is the origin and R1 is position vector of A and R2 is position vector of B. Now let this AB, let us say, is R. Now force acting on Q1 due to Q2. What does F12 represent? Force acting on Q1 due to Q2, it equals to K Q1 Q2 divided by R square. What will be the direction of this force? F12 Q2 is exerting force in this direction. So this is the direction of F12. And what is this direction called? This direction is from Q2 to Q1. So what I will write? R21 cap. Now if you measure the distance from A to B or B to A, it will be same. So I can write R, it equals to AB, it equals to R12 or it equals to R21. So I can write F12 equal to K Q1 Q2 divided by R square 21 R21 cap. This is equation 1. My target is to calculate the R21 cap and the magnitude of R21. Now R21, it equals to vector R21 divided by magnitude of R21, because this is the definition of a unit vector. Now what is the value of this R21? So let me check what is this R21 in this case. Listen, R21, this is BA. I think all of you will agree with me that BA, this is R21 vector, and AB, A to B, that is Q1 to Q2, it can be written as R12 vector. Now this R21 I have to calculate. So to calculate this R21, what I will use? I will use triangle law of vectors. What is triangle law of vectors? This law says that OB plus BA, it equals to the OA, because OB and BA are in same order and OA is in opposite order. So here OB, it equals to R2 and BA, the BA is R21, it equals to R1, therefore R21 vector is equal to vector R1 minus vector R2. And so what can I write in place of R21? R1 minus R2 divided by modulus of this. So this is the value of R21 cap. Now put in 1, we get F12, it equals to K Q1 Q2 divided by R21 square. And what is R21 square? Vector R1 minus vector R2's modulus square. And what is R21 cap? This is the value of R21 cap. So put this value here, R1 minus R2 divided by modulus of R1 vector minus R2 vector. So on rearranging this, I will get K Q1 Q2 into में R1 minus R2 divided by R1 minus R2's modulus cube. So this is the expression of force acting on the charges. Now similarly, we can prove that F21 it equals to K Q1 Q2. Now here R21 I have to find, so I will interchange 1 with 2 and 2 with 1. So in place of R1 I will write R2, in place of R2 I will write R1 divided by modulus of R2 minus R1 cube. So this is the Coulomb's law in terms of position vectors. Now question is that where you will use this law. So let me give you one question and you would be able to understand that where we have to use this law. Now you are given a question that let us say Q1 charge is placed at a point given by 1 minus 4 2 and Q2 charge is placed at point B which is given by 3 4 minus 5. All positions are in meter and Q1 charge is equal to 10 microcoulomb and Q2 charge is equal to the 5 microcoulomb. So what I have to calculate? I have to calculate force acting on Q1 due to Q2. How I will calculate? Method is very simple. Let us say that this point is A and this point is B. So solution is R1, it is the position vector of Q1. So this R1 will be I minus 4j plus 2k. R2 it will be 3i plus 4j minus 5k and Q1 here is 10 microcoulomb, Q2 here is 5 microcoulomb. Also convert this micro as in 10 की power minus 6, and Q2 here it is 5 into 10 to the power minus 6 coulomb. Now let me calculate F12. The formula of F12 is K Q1 Q2 divided by R21 cap and R square. This we have done. Now in the previous lecture we did that this it equals to Q1 Q2. Now what was this equal to? Here in this case that it equals to R1 minus R2 divided by modulus of R1 minus R2 cube. Just put up the values, you will get its answer. Now after the Coulomb's law in terms of position vector, there is a very important topic. That important topic is definition of dielectric constant. Definition of dielectric constant. How we can define the dielectric constant? Now we did that if Q1 and Q2 are the charges and R is the separation between Q1 and Q2, then if these charges are in vacuum, the force acting on these charges will be given by 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by R square. And if we put the same system in a medium, let us say we have put water between these two charges, then what will be the force between them? It will be given by 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught capital K Q1 Q2 by R square. Here capital K is the dielectric constant. Now what we do? Divide Fv by Fm. So what we will get? 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by R square divided by 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught K Q1 Q2 by R square. So they will be cancelled. So K, it will be shifted to this. So here K is the dielectric constant. So how you can define the dielectric constant? We can define the dielectric constant as dielectric constant of a medium is defined as the ratio of force between two charges placed in vacuum separated by distance r to the ratio of force between these two same charges separated by same distance when placed in that medium. I am repeating the definition once again. Dielectric constant of a medium is defined as the ratio of force between the two charges separated by some distance placed in vacuum to the force between the same charges separated by same distance placed in that medium. Now other definition you can make is that I know that permittivity of a medium is epsilon naught into में K. What is K here? Dielectric constant. And so from here I can say that K is epsilon divided by epsilon naught. So I can say that dielectric constant of a medium is also defined as the ratio of permittivity of a medium to the permittivity of free space. Now, one thing is very much clear, that dielectric constant is the ratio of two same physical quantity. If I talk about the force, it is force. If I talk about the permittivity, it is the ratio of permittivity to permittivity. So what does it mean? It means that dielectric constant is unitless quantity. It has no units. So its dimension formula is m0 l0 t0. Next is units of charge. Next topic is units of charge. Now, what are the units of charge? We have also done in our junior classes that SI unit of charge is coulomb. SI unit of charge is coulomb. C-O-U-L-O-M-B, coulomb. Its symbol is capital C. How we can define this? We know that force between two charges in vacuum is given by F equals to Q1 Q2 by R square into 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. So if F is 9 into 10 to the power 9 Newton, Q1 equal to Q2 equal to Q. Let us say both these charges are same, and R equals to 1 meter. What I have assumed, force is 9 into 10 to the power 9 Newton. Q1 Q2 both are equal. Let us say Q, and distance between the charges is 1 meter. Then let's check it out what happens. Let me put in this equation. So what I will get? I will get 9 into 10 to the power 9 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, 9 into 10 to the power 9. Q1 is Q, Q2 is also Q, and R is 1, so 1 square. If I solve this, I will get Q2 is 1. So you can do that. So Q, it equals to plus minus 1 coulomb. So how can I define this 1 coulomb of charge? So 1 coulomb of charge. Now 1 coulomb of charge is the charge. Let me define this. Let us say this is Q1 charge, this is Q2 charge, both are equal Q. So if it is 1 coulomb and this is also 1 coulomb charge, how can I define the 1 coulomb of charge? 1 coulomb of charge is the charge which will repel equal and similar charge at a distance of 1 meter with a force of 9 into 10 to the power 9 Newton if both the charges are placed in vacuum. So this is the definition of 1 coulomb of charge. Now its in CGS system, it is having 2 units. What are those 2 units? Listen, first unit is ESU of charge. It is also called the stat coulomb. This unit is used when the charge is at rest. And another unit is 1 EMU of charge. EMU means electromotive unit of charge, and it is also called the Ebb coulomb. When it is used when charge is in motion. ESU means electrostatic unit of charge. Now what is the relation between them? 1 EMU of charge, it is equal to 10 coulomb, and this is equal to 3 into 10 to the power 10 ESU of charge. So these are the SI and CGS units of the charge. Now here you can find one speciality of SI unit, that whether the charge is at rest or in motion, its unit it remains same, that is coulomb. But in case of CGS unit, for rest we use stat coulomb, and for motion we use EMU, that is the ebb coulomb, right? So these are the units of charge. Next topic is superposition principle. Now we have done the force acting on a charge due to some other charge, that is when two charges were there, we have calculated their force which was given by the Coulomb's law. But in real life situations there can be a number of charges. Let us say these are the number of charges Q1, Q2, Q3. Let us say these are the n charges Qn. Now my question is that how much these charges together exert force on a given charge Q naught. So this we can find by the superposition principle. So what does the superposition principle tells? This principle tells that force acting on a given charge due to other charges present. So this is given by the, this is told by the superposition principle. So what the superposition principle is? According to this principle, the total force acting on a given charge due to other charges is the vector sum of individual force exerted by individual charge on the given charge. Now this principle is based on the fact that force between any two charges remains unaffected by the presence of other charges. What I want to say, for example, if I say that force between Q0 and Q1, this force will not be affected by F02, right? So all these forces are independent forces, right? If I say that, let me explain it in detail. If I say that force acting on Q0 due to Q1, it is given by K Q0 Q1 divided by R10 square R10 cap. Let me draw this. Now let us say this one is R10, this is R20, and this one is R30, and this one is Rn0. Now F01 is this. If I say that there is a charge Q2, will this F01 will change? It will not change. It will remain the same. Similarly, if I say that F02, that is force on Q0 due to Q2, it will be K Q0 Q2 divided by R square 20 R20 cap. Similarly, force acting on Q0 due to Q3, it is K Q0 Q3 divided by R30 square R30 cap. And force acting on NS charge, this is given by K Q0 Qn divided by R square N0 Rn0 cap. Now what does superposition principle say? That this total force, it will be equal to the vector sum of all forces which are acting on the given charge. So what is the total force? The total force will be F01 plus F02 plus F03 plus F0n. Now this total force just put up the values k, q naught, q1, r1 square, r1 cap plus k, q naught, q2, r square, r20 cap plus k, q naught, q3, r30 square, r30 cap plus k, q naught, qn, r n0 square, r n0 cap. Now this total force, now I can take k and q naught common, so what can I write? q1 divided by r square 10 r10 cap plus k, q2, r square 20 r20 cap plus q3 divided by r30 square r30 cap plus qn divided by rn0 square rn0 cap. So this is the total force acting on a given charge. Now let's use the term sigma here. So this F0 can be written as q naught k summation qi r i0 square r i0 cap. I varies from 1 to n. So this is the expression for the total force acting on a given charge due to number of charges present in its. Next topic is continuous charge distribution. What is the meaning of the term continuous? Continuous charge distribution. Continuous means लगातार, which is in continuity. Let's discuss this. Now I have told you that in the very beginning of the chapter that the charge is quantized in nature. What does it mean? It means that charge is discrete in nature. It means that charge is discontinuous. For example, if I say this is the charge here, I will find 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 the charge here. Between these two charges there is no charge. So what does it mean? It means that charge is not lying on the whole body, but it is lying at the selected points. But in reality, what happens? This separation is very less. For example, if you consider 1 gram of copper, and how many free electron does 1 gram of copper contains? Approximately 10 to the power 22. And 10 to the power 22 within a volume for 1 gram of copper, you can think of the space between the two electrons. You will find that it is very small. So what we can say? We can say that charge on that copper surface is almost continuous in nature. But in actual practice, charge is discrete, it is discontinuous in nature. Because there is always some gap, but this gap is very small. So we can assume that the charge is almost continuous in nature. Now, charge can be distributed either on a straight or curved one-dimensional wire. Let us say this is a wire, it is positively charged. Now, if there is a charge q naught near this, definitely it will exert force on this q naught, but we cannot find this force. Why? Because Coulomb's law is applicable for point charges. So let us first discuss this. Now the first point is linear charge density. Linear charge density. This linear charge density, it is represented by lambda, and if I consider a very small length dl over this, such that dl approaches 0 and on this length there is a charge dq, then lambda is given by dq by dl. What is the unit of this linear charge density? It will be coulomb per meter. Now what is now this whole wire is exerting some force on q naught. We cannot find by the Coulomb's law. For this we have taken a very small length of the charge dl which approaches 0. Let us say dq is a charge on this. Now let us say the distance between them is r. So what is the force exerted by this small element on this given charge q naught? It is k q naught dq divided by distance square. Now what is dq? Lambda क्या है? dq by dl. So dq equals to lambda dl. K q naught lambda dl by r square. So total force can be found by integrating this. Let us integrate this equation. So k q naught lambda dl divided by r square. So k q naught integration lambda dl by r square. This integration is done on the length of the wire, so that's why we are writing the L. So this is the total force exerted by this whole wire on the given charge. Now if the charge is uniformly distributed on a given surface, let's discuss surface charge density. Now let us say this is a given surface. It is carrying charge q. I have to calculate this force exerted by this charge on this. I can't Coulomb law. Why? Because Coulomb law is applicable for the point charge. For this I consider a very small surface ds such that ds approaches 0 and on ds charge is dq. Let's say r is the position vector. Now we define a term called the surface charge density sigma. It is the ratio of dq to ds. Its SI unit will be coulomb per meter square. Now the force exerted by this small element on q naught, it can be given by Coulomb's law. This df, it equals to k q naught dq by r square. Okay, what will be the direction in this case? It will be given by r cap. This direction will be this. This direction will be this. R cap directed towards this. So here also and here also. So here r cap, total force can be found by integrating this equation. Let us say integrate this equation. Now putting up this value k q naught dq r cap by r square, k q naught common, dq can be written as sigma ds r square r cap, limits from 0 to s. You can say the integration 0 to s, integration is done over the surface, or you can also write it as s because integration is done on this surface s. Now the third is volume charge distribution. Volume charge distribution. Let us say this is the volume V, and on this volume there is a positively charged which is uniformly distributed. Let us say Q is the charge on volume V. Now let us say Q naught is the charge here. I can't apply Coulomb law because it is very large. Coulomb law is applicable to point charges. For this I consider a very small volume whose volume is dV, and on this dV there is a charge dQ such that dV approaches 0. Let us say this position vector is r. Now here I define a term volume charge density. It is dQ by dV. Its SI unit will be Coulomb per meter cube. So this dQ, it equals to rho dV. Now total force acting on this, it is K Q naught dQ by r square. R cap, it gives the direction, and dQ it equals to K Q naught, and what is this? Rho dV divided by r square r cap. Total force can be found by integrating this equation. Once you integrate this equation, what we will have? K Q naught rho dV by r square r cap. Now volume is done, the integration is done over volume, so here we are writing V. So this is the total force acting on the say volume on a given volume. So these were the points about the continuous charge distribution. In case any topic is not clear to you, make a call or WhatsApp your doubt. Thank you very much.